everybody was busy. Absolutely everybody was busy. You all knew what to do. So I showed up a little bit late. Rosie was there from the start. And when I got there, everybody was busy. Everybody was doing something. Everybody was helping each other out. The way an event should be organized. Even though you've got your own job role, you all were still pitching in. And you know, the problems and some of the difficulties, everybody had ideas. And it wasn't because of the music and the tech. They had to put the tech guys where we were originally talking about putting our tables. And you did it really fast. I thought you set up really, really fast. There was never any getting in each other's way. There was a bickering about a couple of things, but everybody knew what they needed to do, and they got on with it and they did it. And you all maintained your professionalism. You know, as students, you never kind of lost your focus. You maintained your professionalism throughout. You all looked really good. You all were engaging and presented a really professional event. And I had no problem, you know, me and Rosie talked about it as the first thing we talked about. I had no problem for everybody getting a distinction for that event, for the actual event. None whatsoever. There were some, things dropped off a little bit at times. But they were only sort of like, I think just because of the length of time and the kind of lack of audience engagement. Which kind of brings me to my next point is, I thought it was very unfortunate that nobody introduced the event to kind of get it started off. Nobody got up and got on the mic, and you didn't really market or promote yourselves. So you had this beautiful table, and all you guys really looked great standing behind it, but there was never a point where anybody kind of got up and started the event. So I didn't even know the event was starting. You know, I was kind of running around doing different things, and then suddenly somebody just started playing. And I was like, well, whoa, nobody's introduced who you guys are as Exeter College. You didn't introduce your charity. You didn't give the audience the opportunity to take part in your merchandise. So, you know, saying 5 or 10 minutes before we start, you know, here's, you know, a table full of stuff or whatever. And I think that hurt you a little bit. Having said that, I think an outstanding thing that you guys did was you raised 95 quid for charity. That was your overall total, 95 quid, which I thought was amazing. I didn't really have a target or an expectation, but you guys raised 95 quid, and I thought that was pretty awesome. So well done to all of you for that. I thought the table presentation was brilliant as well, the way you guys set everything up on the table, really accessible, colorful. I forget who made the little boats, but what a stroke of genius. That was just awesome, you know. The lighting, everything the way you guys had the place set up, I thought was really excellent. Some kind of a break between the bands. I know we had a really tight schedule, and I don't know, maybe that was how you guys negotiated with the bands, that they would only play if they could do so many songs or whatever, but some kind of a break between songs to give the audience to get up and take part in your event. You know, the whole idea was to sell your merchandise. So, I never even saw anybody buy anything, so I don't know where the 95 quid came from, you know what I mean?
I'll put in a good quid in cookies, to be fair.
Thanks. We know where, so where the 93 other quid came from, I don't know.
That's 94, Dave.
No, a lot of people bought raffle tickets, and
Did they?
a couple, like your mum spent 10 quid on the toothbrush and raffle tickets.
Okay.
And these mothers as well.
Yeah.
So really great, you know, really, really great. Something was going on. And these are just kind of minor points, you know, you're not really, not deducting, you know, grades or points or anything because these things didn't happen. As I said, you know, this is your first event, so some mistakes are going to be made. But introducing your event and introducing your charity and introducing your merchandise and opportunities, what we call touch points, where people can actually pay cash for something, is really, really critical to the success of your event. And whether you would have done better or not, I don't know. That's just conjecture. You know, that's down to you guys to say how you think it may have impacted on your event. So between acts, introducing the acts would have been really useful, even though they get up and say who they are or whatever. It'd be really useful because you kind of, it's a partnership. So you're working with the charity, but you're also working with the tech guys and you're working with the performers. So them being able to promote themselves, maybe the opportunity, I don't know if they would have had any of their music available, whether it's on SoundCloud or CD or whatever, available digitally. Maybe they had apps, maybe they had something on the...
A lot of the songs were covers, so I doubt it would be. If they're originals, probably, but...
But where can I find these guys? Irregardless, where can I find them? Where do I know where are they performing next? You know, you got to give those guys some promo, you know, and maybe even worth publicizing, you know, if any of them have any upcoming gigs or something like that, you know, just before they perform, getting one of you guys to hand some of these leaflets out. So I might like to see them again. And that's just kind of, you know, that's good marketing, that's good business when you're working with partners, and whether those partners are bands, whether they're the tech guys, whether they're wherever your merchandising came from and your products and stuff like that. It's just a good call to cultivate good business practice and good business partnerships, because your next event that you do, you might want to revisit those guys. You know, there's nothing saying that you can't have any of them on in your next event if you wind up doing a music event or something like that. So that's something that I would definitely recommend that you guys consider as an area for development in your next event. My other criticism was, praise was, those acts were really fantastic. The acts were really fantastic. They were good choices. They all were excellent musicians. They had good sets put together. Like Josh was saying, whether they were covers or whether they were originals. I heard a few covers in there, and even the ones that I heard, they made them their own. You know, they weren't sort of note for note covers, which I thought was really cool as well. Taking, you know, older songs and making them covering them for a new generation. So I thought that was really quality as well, that you chose acts that were professional. They got up there and they represented themselves really well. Another criticism area for development would be so I sat to watch, I don't know what the lad's name was, he had dark hair. I think he was I think he was the last act.
Jake.
And I sat down to watch him, and I looked up, and behind the table, there must have been 8 of you behind the table at one time. Y'all were just lined up behind that table. And it wasn't a good look. Again, it's a minor criticism, but it wasn't a good look. You probably didn't need more than about 3 people behind there. But this is, again, getting back to the problem that I said when we split the group. And I split the group fairly evenly, and a lot of you challenged me on that. You went over my head. You wound up being in this group. That was fine. You know, no grudges or anything. But this is the problem that we have now, is there's too many people in this group to stage an event like that. You know, it's just simple mathematics. And I tried to break it down to make sure everybody had a job role, which was really important, and all of you did. And to have all those job roles kind of feeding into marketing so that you were able to achieve those marketing criteria as well. And even on the night, on the event. So if you were part of marketing, make sure that on the night, whether you were selling cookies, I don't really care what you were doing, whether you're promoting the toothbrushes, it doesn't really matter. You can put all that down as part of your marketing strategy or part of your marketing that you took part in. But I would have suggested maybe working in shifts, you know. You had your job roles, so maybe I would have put half of you behind there for the first half and half of you for the second half or something like that. Would have probably been a little bit more useful. Swapping some job roles out or something like that. Zara, I have to single you out for this one. If you're going to sleep, don't do it on the windowsill where people are coming in. Not a good call, not a good look. I didn't even know that was you. I just walked out and I saw somebody sleeping on a windowsill with their coat over them. Just not professional. It's not a good call and not a good look. And a criticism for everybody else who saw her and didn't say anything about it. You know, I don't know if anybody did in the end. I made a comment about it, like, well, who's that? You know, it's not cool. And I didn't know it was you at the time. But somebody should have acted on that, whether it was Annabelle or someone going to Annabelle or whatever. It's just not the kind of event that we're running. You know, it's not acceptable. the tech guys, where did they come from?
I knew the guy from a class last year.
Did he do that for free?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, again, those guys are really professional. I didn't know who they were, never saw them before. So yeah, good call. Really handled themselves well and really handled professionally, got set up, broke it all down. And the way you guys cleared everything out, I think for me, one of the things that I found distressing with both events, because I had the other event the next day, and thank you again, Monty, for your music, was there's a lot of plastic. There's a lot of plastic left over from both events. And I'm just like, no, there's something wrong here, you know? I didn't get a chance to do it with your event, but I hope all that was recycled, because the bins back behind the gate across over at Vic House have recycle bins over there. And I just hope it got recycled. But it kind of is also a sign of the times, where even when you put on an event about plastic in the ocean and single-use plastic and all the rest of it, we generate all this waste and all this plastic from our own event, which I found a little bit distressing. Not necessarily you guys' fault. It's just a point you might want to put in your summary. Why is an event that's meant to generate local interest in reducing single-use plastic and our waste getting in the seas, and we wound up creating a bin liner, which the bin liner incidentally was made out of plastic. There's so much plastic, you know. I know some of it can't be helped, and again, that's kind of something that's a little bit sad, but overall, I think you guys put on a really excellent event. Love the drinks on the bar as well, you know, whoever did that. And bringing people in, making them feel welcome. Only a few minor things, and the sort of areas for development are just minor things, and easily fixed in your next event. I thought for your first external public event, they don't normally go this well. You know, this group, both your group and the other one, this year, the CERT group, I mean, you guys are just, it's like you're a higher caliber of student or something, you know? You really carry yourselves off well, you really know how to act. I normally have to manage that quite tightly because students kind of get in that environment, and it's the first time maybe you've been in that sort of environment and having that kind of responsibility. It can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, and you don't always necessarily know how to act or where to put yourselves or where to be. And I certainly don't put it down to my teaching, whatever, you know, whatever impact that may have had. You're great students, you're great people. You know, you work hard, you're really respectful, you're kind people, and that really came across in your event. Even some of the difficulties that you had, which really stood out for me and Rosie both. You know, it didn't go unnoticed. And I'd like that to be reflected somehow it'll be reflected in my feedback, but it should be reflected in your work as well. Talk to me, Wes.
There's kind of a negative point, even though you just kind of left it on a positive. But I feel like the whole time we had quite bad communication with you. Like,
Okay.
Because when the toothbrushes situation, like, I don't understand really what happened there, because we never discussed that we'd give the toothbrushes to the other group.
Okay.
And then I was told by the other group that it happened, and like, I'm sure we would have been fine with it. It was just like the lack of communication. We just thought it was quite like harsh, you know.
When we were packing everything up, I don't know. I can't put a name on it because I don't remember who said it. But when we were packing everything up and we had all the stuff left over, it was just a kind of a decision that had been made, talking about amongst the students, to give this stuff to the event that was happening the next day.
I mean, isn't that like a group, like a whole class discussion though? Because like
probably, you know, it's a fair comment, and I'll accept responsibility for it. It's a fair comment, you know, and again, put that in your feedback. Rightfully, that stuff belonged to you guys. It was bought, you know, with your money and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a fair comment.
So I think the other group needs to put in the other 5 to the 95 to make it a nice triple figure.
Okay.
Right, they're gonna pay us.
Yeah.
So they were quite expensive.
Can do. Yeah. I need to look at what was left over in the in the whole bigger financial picture in terms of who paid and how much we had for both groups. Ultimately, even though they're separate events, they're on paper certain things don't get separated out because you're all one certain group. But yeah, I apologize for that.
It's alright, I just wanted to like bring it up.
Yeah, that was my responsibility, and when we were talking about it, it was just a general comment. I'll let those guys see if they can sell it the next day. I didn't put a name to it, and even if I did, I wouldn't say. I'm perfectly happy to accept that responsibility because ultimately, I made that decision to give it to those guys to sell. So I apologize for that.
That's fine.
Yep.
What's happening with the? Did you give them the raffle prizes?
I did not.
What are,
They're in my desk.
are they?
No idea. No idea what to do with those. I was going to ask you guys about that.
Yeah. So I was thinking we could give it to like a homeless person. Maybe they can buy some new clothes.
That's
Well, I
sweet.
think in keeping with Wes's point that is either a group decision or it's down to the people who organize those cards to be part of it. I took those out and I put them in my desk. Now that I felt belonged to you guys. Wes, the other thing was in addressing your comment, are you talking about the difference in the toothbrushes, or is it just that they went over to the other event?
What do you mean the difference at the price? Or-
Yeah, because originally you guys had selected different toothbrushes.
Oh no, I'm talking about how
Okay,
they went over
okay.
to the other.
So I still have those two gift cards, and no idea what you want to do with them. Nothing has to be done. I don't know what the time frame is on redeeming them, but I really don't know how to deal with that. You can either take them back to the store and say, we never used them, or we could have our own class raffle and raffle them off to you guys. If you want to give them to a homeless person, I'm not going to say no, but
You wouldn't recommend yes.
I would probably recommend giving it to a charity or something, just because every homeless person's different. If you ever try to give a homeless person food, I've had them throw it back at me and tell me to F off. They don't want food, they want money. They want money for alcohol or drugs or, living somewhere or whatever. It just depends on the homeless person and how a lot of homeless people have mental health issues. So you give them something like that, and they might not even know what you've given them. So I'm not saying no, but I would say, for example, with one of my other groups, we did a project at Christmas, and she made loads of packages, gift packages for homeless people, and went all around Exeter. She couldn't give them away. They just wanted money. It was kind of a telling sign, really. And they had food and other things in them, and they just told her F off. A lot of them told her just F off. Her and her friends that went around trying to give them away to homeless people on the street. Hardly anybody accepted them. So again, you don't have to act on it right away. Maybe not everybody's here. Maybe stick something in the group chat.